Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Courtroom Insider. I'm Nate Eaton. It is Friday, October 24th, 2025. That means Christmas Eve is 2 months from today. Can't believe it. I'm so glad it's Friday. I don't know about you. You ready for the weekend? Hope you have a lot of fun plans or no plans at all. Seems like it's been a long week. Seems like all the weeks are long, I guess you could say. Let me know if you have any, where you're watching from. And, excuse me. And if you have any questions, because tonight we're going to be talking about restitution. I'm just getting my computer here. It froze right before I came on. We're going to be discussing restitution. Lori Vallow Daybell was back in court today. I guess she wasn't physically in court. She was her case was in court, you could say, and she appeared via Zoom from the prison here in Idaho, with Trina Kay, prosecutor Trina Kay, Maricopa County, and Judge Justin Boreski. And I was thinking today, this could be the last time that we have a Lori Vallow Daybell hearing, at least with Arizona. Now, there is still outstanding restitution on Brandon Boudreaux's case, but I don't know. Trina Kay said he's working on gathering receipts. It's very well possible Brandon could be like, you know what, forget it. She's never going to pay me anyway. I'm not going to let it, just forget it. Or maybe there will be another hearing down the line. But Judge Boreski did not set one. And for the first time in 6 years, Lori Vallow Daybell does not have a scheduled hearing on the docket. It's it. This is it. And as I said, there could be one more, possibly, but this will be it. Now, we know that there's appellate decisions and appellate hearings, but that's different. She won't go to those. At least in Idaho, she won't go to those. I doubt she'll go in Arizona. That'll be more of her attorney given 15 or 20 minutes set, where her attorney goes before the Idaho Supreme Court once it gets to the Supreme Court level, because it will, and argue, and then the state will argue, and then the Supreme Court will take it under advisement and rule. It's not like they call witnesses and things like that. So interesting to think that that could be the last time we see Lori Vallow Daybell in a while, in some time, that she shows up to court and actually presents and argues, and here we are. So with that being said, I do want to play you the hearing from today, and then we will talk about it. It is short. It's about 6 minutes long. So if you missed it earlier or didn't catch it, there were a bunch of other windows. Zoom. It was all on Zoom. The judge was in his courtroom in Arizona. Trina Kay was in her office. Lori Vallow Daybell was in the Pocatello prison. Remember, this hearing was set because Lori raised questions at the last one. She wanted receipts. She wanted documents. She wanted to actually have Kay Woodcock prove that she spent what she said she spent. And the restitution goes toward things like travel expenses, gas, lodging, counseling services, things that the victim had to spend where they otherwise would not have had to spend had it not been for this case. So why don't we jump over and I will play you the hearing and we will talk about it.
CR 2021-001704 and CR 2022-001242. State of Arizona versus Lori Daybell. Is Ms. Daybell on? Is that the Joab Fedorf? Mr. Lum, could I have you turn your camera off just to not be a distraction? All right, I called the case. Let's have a state announce.
Trina Kay on behalf of the state.
And defendant?
Lori Daybell for the defense.
All right, I can hear everyone fine. This is the time set for restitution hearing. Have there been any agreements?
Your Honor, I am not sure. I was going to check with Ms. Daybell if she would stipulate to anything. I do have one correction in the documents on bait stamp 101133. What we've learned is that the gas receipts that were provided are not all of the gas receipts, and so that's why we had done the mileage, but we forgot to remove the gas receipts themselves. So we should actually remove $348.98, which would make the total restitution request $8,600.54.
Okay, I'll ask the defendant, are you stipulating to any restitution?
Your Honor, on Wednesday night, I did receive those Bates numbers that were supposed to be given to me from my advisory council. They mailed them to me. I just got them. I was able to review those. Those ended at Bates number 101161. And yesterday I was informed by my advisory council that the state sent over one more document on Tuesday by email to my advisory council. And I have not seen that document. It's Bates number 101162. It is my understanding, since I talked to my advisory council yesterday, that that document is a document. They kind of explained what it was to me. And so my understanding is, and although I'm aware that counseling, thank you. Although I'm aware that counseling costs can be included in restitution, this document turned over by the state is an Excel spreadsheet totaling $3,147 in counseling. There are no invoices from doctors or insurance companies to my knowledge. So the document in and of itself seems to be insufficient. I haven't actually seen it. However, based on how my trials were conducted, since experience tells me that regardless of what I say or what anybody else says, you're going to order it, I am willing to stipulate today. It is my understanding that I have already been ordered by this court to pay over $534,000 in fees, in fines, surcharges, and court fees. So you can add Ms. Woodcock's total of $12,096.97 of restitution to my tab.
And Your Honor, with that correction, it would actually be $11,747.99.
Hold on, 11,740.
$7.99.
All right. Ms. Daybell, you're stipulating to pay restitution to Kay Woodcock in the amount of $11,747.99. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did any drugs, alcohol, or medication in the last 24 hours that would affect your ability to have this, to make this decision?
Have I been on any drugs, Your Honor? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking, have you had any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would affect your ability to understand or make this decision today?
Is Your Honor aware that I am in prison? I have no access to any of those things. So no, the answer is no, I have not.
Thank you for answering the question. Has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your agreement to pay this restitution?
No,
Has anyone forced you, threatened you, or coerced you to get you to agree to pay this restitution?
only my trials, Your Honor, coerced me.
All right. The court finds that your agreement is knowingly, intelligently, voluntarily made. It's ordered that you pay $11,747.99 in restitution to Kay Woodcock. The restitution would take priority over any other fines and fees that have been imposed. And it's ordered that that restitution be paid out at the maximum rate allowable out of any prison account. Ms. Kay, do you anticipate any other restitution requests?
Your Honor, we are still awaiting restitution requests from Brandon Boudreau. I know that he's been busy with work and he hasn't got all of those documents together. When I get those, I will submit them to advisory council and to Ms. Daybell's investigator, who seems to be able to get that to her much easier. And just for the record, Ms. Woodcock is still ongoing counseling, so there could be subsequent requests.
Well, the court retains jurisdiction over the matter of restitution for the period that the defendant is serving a sentence. So I'm not setting any further hearings at this time. We'll wait and see if any requests for hearing come in. All right, thank you. We'll be at recess.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. So sounds like there could be another hearing down the line. We'll see. Uh, Now, some of you are probably saying, why did the judge ask that question? Of course, she's in prison. Well, she could be on medication, by the way. And you have to legally ask that because you want to get it on the record that the person then doesn't come back and say, well, I had taken sleeping pills. I wasn't thinking straight, or I was drunk, or I was not high, even if they are in prison. So, she gets snarky, little snippy, typical. It's kind of been what we've seen with her. She clearly is not a fan of Judge Boreski, and that might be the last time she has to see him. What do you think? I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll be back in here again soon, but I don't foresee it. I don't foresee it happening. So again, just a quick recap. Lori Vallow Daybell has to pay nearly $12,000, $11,747.99 to Kay Woodcock, and that will reimburse travel, lodging, counseling, other expenses. The judge made it clear that even though she has the fines, lots of fines and fees from the trial, the restitution to the victims comes first. So the question that you're asking is, how is she going to pay this? It's quite possible she may never pay this. It's quite possible, though, if she's able to get a job in prison, then a portion of her earnings will go to the restitution. She could make 40 cents an hour. We toured the prison a few weeks ago, and that's what we found is that the inmates can make 30 to 40 cents an hour. And depending on if they are qualified to work and if they're allowed to do certain jobs, and there's a variety of jobs they can do in there. And, you know, I do wonder if she could get a job, if they would let her out, or if might be too dangerous for her. They want to protect her. So I don't know what exactly she will do or how she'll get the money. It's possible too in some jurisdictions when money's put on commissary books, they take a portion of that. They can't take it. They can't garnish all of it for restitution, but it's possible that they might be able to take some of it and thus pay the restitution. But is Kay Woodcock going to see $12,000 from Lori Vallow Daybell? Likely not. Likely not. And I think that Kay realizes that. And this leads into kind of our next discussion about restitution. Bryan Kohberger's attorneys filed this just a few days ago. Defendant's objection to the state to request additional restitution. So this was filed on the Bryan Kohberger, by and through his attorneys of records, and hereby objects to the state's request for additional restitution filed on September 22nd. Let's go to that. Let's go to that hearing. State's request for restitution. Here we go. This was filed September 22nd, so about a month ago. I'm going to take this full so you can see it. Comes now the state, by and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney, and respectfully moves the court for orders of restitution herein against the defendant in favor of Christy Gonzalez, or Steve, in the amount of $20,409, and in favor of Karen Laramie in the amount of $6,920. In support of this request, there's documentation attached. The state will advise the court if a restitution hearing is needed. And so you have, let's go down and see, it was given there. They're saying they need that money. Let's see if the attachment is here. Is this it? I apologize. I don't have the attachment is not on that one. I don't see what the attachment is. So the attachment could be the receipts of why Coberger should pay them this additional restitution. Well, now Coberger's saying, hold up a minute. I object. I object to this additional restitution. And here is why. The grounds for objection are that the plea agreement specified funeral expenses and funds reimbursed through the Idaho Crime Victim Compensation Fund in the amount to be determined within 60 days from July 23rd. Coberger stipulated to those amounts, resulting in court orders in the amount of $28,956. The additional funds sought do not qualify as an economic loss because Steve and Christy Gonzalez and Karen Laramie received extensive funds through multiple GoFundMe campaigns that specifically asked for and covered the expenses sought. And 3, Mr. Coberger has no ability now or in the future to pay restitution because he's serving 4 consecutive sentences plus 10 years. So they're arguing that the GoFundMes that were set up for the families, that's enough. He shouldn't have to pay any out of his pocket. The GoFundMe covered it. And he's realistically not going to be able to pay it because he's in prison for these consecutive life terms. He's never walking free again. Here's the argument, or the history I should start with. July 23rd, plea agreement stated the state may seek restitution orders regarding funeral expenses and crime victims' compensation reimbursement in amount to be determined. The judgment of conviction ordered $251,000 in criminal fees and fines, $20,000 as civil judgment for each of the families named in the indictment, and also directed the state to notice restitution for the hearing if they can't stipulate within 60 days. With respect to the crime victim compensation program and funerals, the parties agreed in August to $28,956. On September 22nd, the state filed the additional one, which I just read. An itemized statement with receipts was attached under seal. That's why I couldn't find it. It's sealed. No documentation showing reimbursement by the Crime Victim Compensation Fund was included. The receipts relate to travel and accommodation. So the Gonzalez family and Karen Laramie filed these documents saying, I'm owed this. The Coberger team then goes on to argue that the plea agreement is ambiguous about the restitution categories, that the state has an obligation to stand by the terms because they weren't in there. They're saying economic loss includes but is not limited to value of property taken, destroyed, broken, harmed, lost wages, direct out-of-pocket expenses. Several GoFundMe campaigns resulted in funds raised for the Gonzalez and Laramie families. Specifically, one GoFundMe campaign for Madison and Kaylee raised $73,000. These funds were promoted as going to both families. Another GoFundMe campaign for Karen Laramie raised $48,000 to help Maddie's family attend the trial in Idaho, and also clarified that the funds were in fact used to travel to Boise for hearings, including the sentencing. And then we had the third GoFundMe. That was for Steve and Christy Gonzalez. It raised $85,000 for the purpose of attending court in Boise after the venue was changed. You remember these? We covered these. East Idaho News, we did stories on these. The victims' families, none of them lived in Boise. How are you going to leave your job for 3 months to go live in a city far from your home, unless you're independently wealthy? Where are you going to stay? What are you going to eat? How, you have a job. I mean, can you imagine? I can't imagine me suddenly having to leave my job for 3 months to go to Boise, 4 hours away, and stay and feed myself and my family and care for it. This is heavy expenses. And how do you do it? Well, they turned to GoFundMe, and people, a lot of them, you watching, helped them. Given the specific funds sought and obtained for expenses to travel to Boise, the request should be denied because neither family suffered an economic loss for that which the state seeks reimbursement. Both families did indicate a desire to refund any donation after the case resolved after sentencing, but whether they were able to accomplish this or donors requested funds returned is not included in the state's motion. So they're saying that the families didn't suffer an economic loss because you and the GoFundMes covered that loss. Because of that, that doesn't require restitution payment. The document goes on to say, Idaho Code provides guidance in determining whether restitution would be appropriate and states that the court should consider the amount of economic loss sustained by the victim as a result of the offense, the financial resources, need, and earning ability of the defendant, and other factors as the court deems appropriate. Economic loss is not addressed above, and in light of the GoFundMe donations, the specific funds I lost my place. Economic loss is not addressed above, and the GoFundMe, the specific funds for which the Gonzalez and Karen Laramie seek reimbursement, travel to Boise. There's no sustained economic loss. Additionally, Mr. Coberger has no ability to earn money or pay money given his 4 life consecutive sentences plus 10 years. Unlike other cases where the Idaho courts have ordered restitution for short and long-term prison sentences, Mr. Coberger's is different. He will never have the ability to pay restitution, and even though he's stipulated to restitution amounts, there is no foreseeable ability for him to ever make payment. Under Idaho law, he will never be able to profit by way of a book, movie, or entertainment of any kind. For all of the reasons stated above, Mr. Coberger objects to the request for additional restitution. He waives his own attendance at a hearing on this matter and requests that he not be transported because his defense counsel will be present. So there is a hearing. The judge went ahead and scheduled a hearing for November 5th, 2025. We will live stream that on eastidahonews.com and here on our YouTube channel and our page. It's at 10 a.m. Mountain Time on Zoom. And the motion for restitution hearing, so the defense attorney filed that, and then the state filed a request for the restitution hearing, and it was granted. So I went on Vinny's show last night on Court TV, Closing Arguments. He asked me to come on and talk about this. And, you know, it's an interesting topic because a lot of us say, he'll never be able to pay it. Why should he even be on there? To me, I've talked with victims about, in other cases, I've spoken with attorneys about this, judges. And I think the overall thought for many people is the money, yes, it is the issue, but really the law is the issue. And it shouldn't matter, should it? I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. If I've got $1 million, if I'm a millionaire and I have all the money in the world and someone murders my wife, am I still not entitled to restitution for her life? I know you can't put a money amount on a human, but legally under the law, it shouldn't matter, should it, about how much money I have. My wife's life, heaven forbid this will never happen, I hope and pray, but the life is valued. These 4 lives in Coberger were valued. It shouldn't matter if $1 gazillion was raised in a GoFundMe. It's the fact that these lives were taken and restitution should be owed to the victims' families. Should it matter that he'll never be able to pay? At the end of the day, probably not. Many people would say no. What matters is he's ordered restitution. Is Lori Vallow ever going to be able to pay Kay Woodcock $12,000? No. But it's like the principle of the matter. It's to get it on the books. So, and the fact, I don't know how she was ordered to pay restitution too in Idaho, I believe, or at least fees and fines. And one of the things Boreski said is that your restitution takes precedent over the fees and fines. Like who takes precedent where, like which money goes to the victims? I guess, I don't know who the money would go to in Idaho. Colby, because he's the next of kin to JJ and Tylee. I'll have to look that up. I don't remember us addressing that. And Chad Daybell, you could say, well, I don't know. I don't know about the restitution in those cases, but at least in the Arizona case, it's clear that it goes to Kay Woodcock and Brandon Boudreau. So we'll see what the judge has to say. I look at it as kind of being one of those things similar to the fact that Lori's going to serve 7 life sentences. How do you serve 7 life sentences? You'll serve 1 life sentence, her life, but each of the victims was entitled to the life sentence. And that's why she was sentenced to that. And that's how I think that you could view the whole restitution issue. I could be wrong, and I'd love to hear it if you think I'm wrong. But we will have another Coberger hearing again, November 5th, 2025, about this restitution issue. And of course, it's happening now with the whole Coberger thing too. So the timing's interesting. So we have a couple of interesting things happening next week here on Courtroom Insider. I hope you will tune in. And we're going to have Cheryl McCollum here. You may have heard her. She is a crime scene investigator. She's been at CrimeCon. You've probably met her there. She's the wonderful person. She is been on the Crime Cruise, and she's going to be here next week. She has a brand new book coming out, true story, that a case she covered about a man, a murderer, convicted murderer, who came to Cheryl and said, I need you to help find my daughter's killer. His daughter was beheaded, and Cheryl went to work. And the book comes out in a few months. We still have a little bit of time, but Cheryl's going to be here to talk about that. If you don't know who she is, I hope you'll tune in because we're going to talk about her past, how she got into law enforcement, what got her so interested in that. We also may have some updates on Amy Bradley. You know, the cruise lady that disappeared on the cruise. We talked about that a couple of episodes. There might be some updates that we're going to talk about next week. And not Bryan Kohberger, Tyler Robinson is back in court next week. In fact, I wanted to touch on that briefly today. He is the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, and his attorneys want him to wear street clothes in court. And today there was a closed hearing, and as far as I see, so there was going to be a closed hearing. The judge was going to have a closed hearing today with the prosecution and the defense to discuss whether Tyler Robinson would be able to wear civilian clothes to court, because it's a high profile case. They're worried that if he's in jail outfits the whole time, that potential jurors would be influenced by that. In fact, the sheriff's office asked that he be able to appear in court via Zoom because of the security dealing with him, but his attorneys and the judge has made it clear they want him in the courtroom. So the steps that sheriff's office is going to take to get him there safely and back, it's going to be fascinating to see. I don't know the whole thing about how they transport, if the jail is hooked to the courthouse down in Utah County. Those of you from there, let me know. I know many of our courthouses here, it's like that, but many are not, where they're right there. The other issue, though, is that Charlie Kirk, the accused killer's attorneys, Tyler Robinson's attorneys, are saying that cameras should be banned from the court hearing and that to not allow them in. Currently, the judge has allowed one camera, video, and one still camera in there. This happens every court hearing, it seems. The Daybell, of course, we went through that. It seemed like for years. And in Utah, Idaho, that's how it is. In Arizona, it's kind of presumed that you get a camera in there. Florida, the same. But they're saying that they wouldn't want any media coverage, basically, of cameras in the courtroom. So the judge will have to rule on that. The judge has said that he plans to allow the proceedings to happen and be open to the public in his courthouse, in his courtroom. That's what he says. So we'll see what happens with that. I tell you all that because there is a hearing next Thursday, the 30th, that we will live stream, assuming cameras are allowed. Let me get the time on there. It's at, I don't have it in my phone, but we'll have it, and we'll do a Courtroom Insider to talk about that too. So there's a lot happening. Of course, Halloween. Do you dress up? I don't know what normally my family and I will dress up. We've done Ghostbusters in the past. We've done E.T. a few years ago, which is fun because Emmy, my daughter, has been on the Drew Barrymore show, and they kind of have a really cool friendship, and Drew was in E.T. And so we all went as E.T., and that was a lot of fun. Anyway, guess what? We got to thank newspapers.com. So many of you have sent me really cool things from newspapers.com, our sponsor. Here's what I want. And I've had a couple of you ask, how do you get into newspapers.com? Well, let me show you. This is where I'm going to show you. Let's see. What should you can tell these are my last searches. What should I show you? Newspapers.com. I am logged in right now. 1.1 billion total newspaper pages. Let's see if we go to Daybell. This is, you can sort too. There's 47,000 matches. Utah. Now, I will say, East Idaho News, we're not on this because we're not a newspaper. But if we go back, sort by oldest. Wow, we're going back to 1812. Okay, I'm going to change that, and I'm just going to hit Utah. 1863, the Deseret News. Okay, I'm going to add a date range, and I'm going to say 2019 to 2025. Here we go. Christmas, the Daily Spectrum. This is page... this is the Daily Spectrum in St. George, Utah. I don't have page 1. So let me go back here. Here we go, page 1. Should have clicked on that first. Daily Spectrum. Parents of missing kids issue statement. This is the top story on Christmas. Idaho couple's children have not been seen since September. Police say they were never reported missing. And this is... Look, you can read what else was in the news that day. U.S. awards immigration detention contracts. Here's what to know about holiday returns. This was like the Christmas edition of the newspaper in the Daily Spectrum, which is St. George, Utah. Here's what else we'll do. I have done this before and I haven't found much. Nate Eaton. This says Utah. And there's 24 matches. I don't think any of them are me. But what I did find, Nate Davis from the AP, I did a search of the country, and I went 2011 to 2025, and I don't want Utah. I want Virginia. And I did find, this was so cool to me, at least, in Richmond, where I used to live. It was so there's a baseball player whose name is Nate Eaton from Virginia who played in Idaho Falls. I've interviewed him. Nate Eaton interviews Nate Eaton. We both moved here around the same time to Idaho. He now plays for the Boston Red Sox, I believe. So there's all sorts of Twitter stuff when I get tagged or he gets tagged, or I get Google alerts, and I get them all the time for him. Anyway, I'm not going to find it, but I was able to find, when I ran a marathon back in 2011 or 12, I was able to find my time and the fact that it was in the paper. And it was cool to me to see. But it looks like all of these Nate Eatons are from Virginia. Anyway, I tell you all this. Newspapers.com is an incredible database of information. You can go here, you can clip, like these are my recent clippings that I talked about on Courtroom Insider. Here are topics in the newspapers, recent searches, the Fish Wrap blog. You can gift subscriptions, a great Christmas gift, $74.90 for a 6-month subscription to the newspapers extra. And then there's also other different plans. Go check them out. The cool thing is you get a 7-day trial. So you can, if you don't want to pay, you just want to see what they have, do the 7-day trial. Thank them for sponsoring Courtroom Insider, allowing us to do these programs. And one other thing, they are awesome at CrimeCon. They had the best candy. Speaking of CrimeCon, I got to let you know, this is an insider secret because we're talking Courtroom Insider tonight. Rates are going to go up soon. I don't know when, but I think they're going to happen soon. If you want the best rate for CrimeCon or the Crime Cruise, go and type in Eaton, E-A-T-O-N. That's the promo code that will get you 10% off CrimeCon. And it's in Vegas next year. Tickets are now on sale. Sign up now for Vegas. Go here, fill out your information. The 10% will get you, see, this standard discount rate sold out already. What you need to do, click on the advanced rate. It says it's $349. If you use my promo code Eaton right here, hit standard, apply. It'll take it down. You'll get a $34.90 discount. So you pay $343.33 with taxes and everything. Limited quantity, they're gonna sell out, and that'll be in Vegas next May. And here's the thing: if you're like, oh, I don't know if I should go or not, if you end up not being able to make it, you can save that. They'll give you a credit on your account that you can use up to 5 years. So if you can't make it, you can ask for a credit, and you can use that at any future CrimeCon event. I'd love to see you there. Erica's coming with me. Same thing with the cruise. If you're thinking about it, it's a great gift. Next November, in the cold November, right before Thanksgiving, here we are. Chris Hansen and I, we're going on the cruise. Sign up now. Type in that code. Get 10% off. And more speakers to be announced. You're not going to be disappointed. This is going to be a really fun cruise, and you have a year. And I believe you can put down a deposit. I know it's not for everybody, so please don't feel pressure from me. But if you use that code, it'll save you a couple of dollars here and there. And you better believe we're doing a Family Feud on the cruise again. I'm going to win. I'm going to win Chris Hansen's team and whoever else. I won last year. Everybody, I have to thank you for watching. Here's where you can find me. I am doing this differently now. Follow me. Does this work? Hey, there we are. Whoa, not that. Whoa, where are we at? Follow me. Follow me. Take the follow me. Sorry, hold on. There, I think you see it. Do you see it? Follow me. Okay. I was looking at the wrong monitor. I'm on Insta. I'm on Twitter, X. I'm on Facebook, Nate Eaton Reporter. And of course, we're here on YouTube. East Idaho News is likely where you're watching us, or Meeting the Eatons. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. Would love to have that here with you. There we go. A little rusty because I'm doing a different program tonight, but I got to thank you for watching. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll be in touch because we'll be back next week. More Courtroom Insider on Monday. And I hope you have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.